Hey guys! It's been a minute, but we're back with part 4 of the Sister Wives Crash Course. Is that a millennial zoom? What I'm doing? Is that what that is? When we left off in part 3, we were talking about the Browns' colorful financial history, and we ended talking about Robin's business venture called My Sister Wives Closet, which, if you don't remember, since it's been a while, was kind of a flop. And before we move on from that and get into their Coyote Pass era, I did want to mention something I left out of the last video, which was that Kody and Mary were not the only ones to file for bankruptcy pre-Robin. Janelle and Christine actually filed for bankruptcy as well. They just didn't do it jointly with Kody because obviously they weren't legal spouses at the time. Janelle actually filed for bankruptcy 4 years after Mary and Kody. Then Christine's bankruptcy happened the year that the show started, I believe. So 2009, 2010. And again, it's just all part of this kind of bleed the beast culture that is really popular within fundamentalist Mormonism. Just this idea that you can and should do anything you need to financially and you're living the principle of plural marriage. Because again, in that culture, living the principle of plural marriage and having as big a family as possible takes precedent over everything, including United States federal laws. Also tied into their general doomsday outlook. And the doomsday, end of the world thing isn't just a thing in fundamentalist Mormonism, it's a common theme in all areas of Mormonism, including the mainstream Latter-day Saints. But that's something we'll talk about at another time, because I have a lot to fit in here. I also couldn't remember if I mentioned this in the last video, but a lot of people think that the reason the Browns left Utah was because they were evading punishment for financial crimes. In the show, the narrative is very much that they're fleeing Utah to avoid religious persecution or practicing polygamy, but because of their financial past, people who know a lot about the Browns suspect that they were leaving for other reasons. So, okay, Coyote Pass. They move from Las Vegas, Nevada to a plot of land outside of Flagstaff, Arizona in 2018. They buy it for $800,000 and some change, and Kody originally pitches this with the idea of building one giant house on this land that has little apartments attached for each wife and big common areas that they share that they can use for holidays and stuff, like living areas, etc. But that ends up being a no-go for most of the wives, especially Christine, who had a really bad experience living in one big house with Janelle and Mary back in the day. So they decide to split up the land into 5 plots. Ownership-wise, Kody's name is on each of the plots, with the respective wife who plans to build their house there. And of course there ends up being a lot of drama over who gets to build where, who gets to live where, etc., etc., mostly with Mary. Kody also decides he wants his own plot. This is a bad image, you can't really see everything, but this is Kody's little area where he plans to build his own husband house. So do with that information what you will. Coyote Pass actually ends up being owner financed, which means that instead of getting a loan from a bank, the Browns get a loan from the owner and pay them back in monthly installments until the land's paid off. There's a lot of reasons someone might do owner financed in a situation like this. Maybe the land is too risky for the owner to get a traditional mortgage, or maybe the buyers don't want to be held to traditional standards and criteria when buying a big piece of property. My money is on the latter. So Mary and Christine were in a good financial spot when they bought Coyote Pass. They paid off their parcels pretty quickly. It took about 5 years after they originally bought the land for Kody, Robin, and Janelle to pay off their, which I think where they are at in the show right now, it still all hasn't been paid off yet, and that's why Janelle can't build there. So when Christine left in 2021, she sold her plot of land to Kody and Robin for $10. Something small just so she could get it off her back. And then ownership switched around, leaving the majority of the land in Kody and Robin's name. Janelle, I think, has the second most acreage now, and Mary has the least, because they didn't decide to re-divide it up fairly after Christine's plot got sold back. I also will mention that it looks like Kody and Robin and maybe even Janelle still owe taxes on this property. Last I checked, they had not paid any taxes on Christine's portion since 2021. It's also been said by a few news outlets that some sources have told them that Kody and Robin do not plan to build on Coyote Pass anymore and are going to try to be selling it. So moving on to Kody and Robin's Flagstaff, Arizona house, which if you don't know is not on Coyote Pass, there's been a lot of talk about not only the house itself, which is almost $1 million, but the stuff that people can see in the house, in the background, on the show, such as these paintings here. Robin has had a reputation of being kind of an overspender since she came into the family with her infamous Victoria's Secret and Target debt, and she and Kody have come under a lot of criticism for the various knickknacks and art art, you can see one Redditor pointed out that in this corner alone, which you can only see a couple paintings in this corner, but there's probably 5 or 6 people on Reddit added up the values of just these paintings alone in the corner here, and I think the value ended up being about $20,000. Here's one that was cut out of the background. I was using at $6,700 for a print. There's another at almost $9K for a print. Another one at $4,200 for a print. These aren't even originals. These are prints of the artwork. People have also kind of noticed some cluttered areas in Robin's house. Just areas where it looks like there's a little bit too much there for the space. I wonder how much this painting is. Here's that weird deer painting with the fire that I showed the screenshot of. Christine's daughter, McKelty, mentioned that the art was an investment for her dad and Robin. She said it was something like, kind of like money under a pillow to them. I don't know the resale value of that art or that particular artist, but if it does have a good resale, I guess I could understand that. Christine's other daughter, Gwen, has said that she does think her dad and Robin maybe have a little bit of an overspending problem. It's been a running joke on the show for almost a decade that Kody has champagne taste with kind of a light beer budget, so I don't think looking at all of the stuff in his house that he's willing to show us, and maybe wondering if there's some kind of overspending problem there is that much of a stretch. But it's more than likely that Kody and Robin will have to sell this house anyway, and probably a lot of their stuff now that they're down to 2 incomes. Kody has an infamous pew-pew selling business, and the only income I could find for Robin is that she still makes some royalties off the Sister Wives book that she and the wives wrote, and then obviously money she gets paid from being on the show. But I assume they both are gonna have to start living a little bit more frugally now that they don't have Mary Janelle or Christine's MLM income anymore. Alright y'all, I'm out of time again. I figured I would tackle the wives individually for the next few parts, just give a little background. But if there's anything else you'd like me to cover, just let me know. And I'll see you in part 5.